Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well in this crazy time. Today I wanted to finally get around to doing my pregnancy Q&A. I put this out on Instagram a couple of weeks ago. It's taken me a little while to get around to doing it, but I'm finally doing it. I've got about 5 or 6 questions, really simple ones, but I thought they'd be nice to share and look back on. I'm not going to say who's asked the questions just because I know a few have been asked sort of personally, but I really appreciate the questions I've got. And yeah, let's get into it. So, first one is, how did we find out I was pregnant? So this was back in January, maybe the second week of January. I had a really bad cold to the extent of like I had a few days off work. I just felt generally rubbish, like the worst I've felt in ages. And I had a cold back in December, so I was like, this is a bit weird that I've got another cold like already. And it was kind of more coldy flu-y, which is very relevant right now, isn't it? And I just felt weird, and I really knew in the back of my mind that I didn't want to take any tablets for it, which sounds bizarre because it wasn't like I was thinking I was pregnant. I just thought I should probably not take any tablets. So I think there was one night where it was like 2 AM and I desperately just couldn't sleep, so I went and got a cold and flu tablet and I had one. I didn't even have the 2 that you meant to have, so something weird was going on there, just in the back of my mind, which sounds very obvious, I know. And I think it was the Sunday, I said to Dan, like, well, I'm late, that's a bit weird, and he was like, well, you've got a cold, so it's probably just because you've got a cold. And you know what us girls are like, I was like, I'm not convinced. So I ordered a test on Amazon, because who doesn't? And I tried it the Monday, so Sunday, I thought that, ordered it, arrived Monday. And at about 3 o'clock, as soon as it arrived, I tried it. I was at home working from home because I felt rubbish from this cold. I took the test and obviously, lo and behold, it was positive. So it was all a bit sort of random because you think, well, I'll do it, but I'm sure it'll be nothing. So when it is positive, you're like, oh, no. I was feeling run down, I was tired, and I just was like, I just cried because I was just sort of like, oh my god. And although like you obviously want these things to happen, it's still a bit of a shock and a bit like, oh god, this is actually happening, this is a real thing, I'm not just making this up, this isn't, because you think about it happening but you don't expect it to happen. It's very strange. So yeah, it was very simple, and I just, as soon as Dan got home, he was meant to go to Tesco that evening because I didn't feel well, so I wanted some bits, and in the end I texted him like, can you come home first because I want to come with you. I didn't want to go to Tesco, I just wanted him home as soon as like he could get home. And as soon as he walked through the door, I'm like, there you go. I just didn't know what else to say. I was just like, look, and he was just sort of like, right. And I think I kind of shocked him a little bit, but it was fun. You know, like how some people do the whole reveal things and make it all fun. I couldn't do that, I couldn't wait. I just needed to tell him immediately. So yeah, that was a very dramatic in some ways, but simple story as well. How long did it take for us to get pregnant? Well, I cannot remember for the life of me how long it's been since I was on the pill. I was on the pill for ages, on and off, different ones, all that sort of stuff. And I decided to come off it, I'm gonna say summertime last year, maybe? I can't remember exactly, but let's say it was a good few months. And we were not trying, but not trying. It's one of those things that everyone, as soon as I said I was pregnant, everyone goes, oh, were you trying? As if that's like, does it matter? Like, if I wasn't trying and I didn't want it, surely I wouldn't be telling you. You know, I'd probably be not having it. So it's a bit of a weird question in my opinion. One to not ask people in the future, just to let you know. But yeah, we were just kind of like, if it happens, it happens. Let nature do its thing, see what happens. I wasn't tracking any dates or anything like that. I was like obviously trying to keep in tune with my body and know when things were happening, because just useful to know, especially like when your time of the month is and things like that. So yeah, I think it was a couple of months, and within maybe 2 or 3 months I was sort of getting in tune with things. But yeah, it was literally a case of when we stopped thinking about it, Christmas time, it worked. So I do think if you can go on a holiday, relax, have Christmas, those kind of events help you stop thinking about it and it being a thing, because you don't want it to become a thing. That's when things don't happen. So the more sort of chilled you can be, maybe that might help. I can't be some kind of fertility expert because I'm really not, I just tried to get in tune with what's happening. I used the Clue app, and that really helped just track things generally. So yeah, we just kind of, I think it was a couple of months and after the pill, and let nature do its thing and then tried to de-stress. Sorry, that's a rubbish answer, I know. How did we decide it was the right time? Generally it was just a case of, we've been married 3 years, Dan's a bit older than me, so he's wanted kids longer than I have, but longer, and it just felt like the right time for us. Everything is good, we've, you know, good on financials, we've got our home, everything's good, we're really comfortable in our jobs, we've both been in them a few years, and it just felt like the right time for us, to be honest. I've always wanted to be married before I had kids. I'm just kind of one of those traditional people. Not that there's a right or wrong, I just always preferred it that way, and this is how we've kind of done it really. But I think it's different for everyone, isn't it? And if things happen, things happen. But I think you just got to kind of figure out what works for you in your relationship. If your job is important to you, then you need to figure out when the best time is and what your job can be like after kids. For me, I'm very fortunate because I can do my job kind of around kids, so it is really up to you when it's the best time. I don't think anyone can tell you when it's the right time. How will you balance work and mum life? Well, prior to coronavirus, my plan was to work up until September. I'm not really putting my due date out there too much because I don't believe that it will arrive on the day it's meant to, so I'm not putting too much pressure out there. But I was going to work up until early September, and then kind of just figure it out from there really. I don't want to say I'll be off for months, because who knows how long it will take to settle into mum life, but at the same time my work will always be there, it will always be mine. I've always said that I'd like to keep some kind of communication going, as you know, some work in the balance if I want to, just because for me my work is my career is very important to me, and I don't want to have a full-on break from it. I'm very fortunate with what I do, that I can do a lot of it from home and from laptops and phones and everything else. I do find it strange kind of letting go of it a little bit, because obviously it's been kind of my baby for a couple of years, so it is very strange in that aspect. But now Corona's kind of come along, it feels like my maternity leave has already started, which is a bit strange. I'm hoping I can at least go back in the office late summer, do at least a month or something in the office, just to feel like I've been part of something and have an actual exit, not just never see anyone and work again in an office for years. So it is strange, but I'm hoping that by summer I can go back to my plan and go on to maternity leave in September, just before the baby's due essentially, or when I'm uncomfortable. And then my plan is to essentially just dip in and out when I can and figure it out from there, because I'm fortunate enough that I don't need to just say I'm going to have 9 months maternity and that's that. But obviously baby will come first, but I'd like to keep my career going. I don't want to stop, I don't want to disappear for a little while. I'm very much one of those people that would like to keep my sort of what's the word, toes in the water, toes in, I don't know, either way I want to just keep involved in the business. So it's weird, and I'd like to keep blogging, but obviously with Corona it's kind of changed those plans a little bit, so I'm just kind of playing each month by month and seeing what happens, to be honest. Okay, and the last question is, if you've chosen any names, what influenced your choices? Now, we've obviously discussed some names and there's been some obvious no's from both sides, but we've not officially chosen a name. We've kind of come up with a nickname for the bump, but it's more of a joke, so I don't think it'd be their official name. It's just been kind of fun, but we've come up with it. There's been a name that I've always loved, but I don't know if it's really going to work, and I think boy names are especially hard. I don't know why, just to me it's easier to think of girl names than boy names, but I know some people are the other way around. But I think the things that have influenced our choices are things like very British names, longer names, because we've both got quite short names, and even I haven't got a middle name, so I'd like to make sure that the child has a middle name. And I feel like my name has got shorter now. I'm married as well. I used to have a long last name and now I've got a shorter last name. So we would like something a bit longer, just because we don't have that. But yeah, there's not much that's influenced it yet, but I'm sure that we're starting to get somewhere with some names. We've got like a short list, but none of them are real definites or anything like that. It's just kind of fun to think of them. So yeah, Pinterest has been my best friend. So yeah, I think that kind of covers most things on kind of how we've got to this point. If you have any other questions, please put them below. I may do another Q&A sort of later on, just before baby arrives or something like that. I think it might be fun, and there might be more questions by then. So yeah, hope you're all well, hope you're keeping well, and I will see you soon for the next update.